Well, it is now confirmed. What was just speculation mere moments ago, as we're doing the show each day now. I know it is quite the hectic ride because the news is getting more hectic and more hectic just in between recording each segment, as I said before. But it's now confirmed that what Elon Musk had mentioned, but Trump hadn't yet confirmed, does seem to actually be happening, which is the shutting down, potentially unlawfully, of USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development. And Trump was in the Oval Office while protests were breaking out, a press conference outside of the USAID headquarters because staff had just started being locked out of coming in to do their jobs, apparently by whoever, Elon Musk, Doge, whoever it might be. And so then all they can do is stand out there and plead their case. This seems to be a part of, if Elon Musk is telling the truth and it does align with what Trump's about to say here, a shutting down. Even though Congress has allocated funds and has made this program a program, so how Trump could come along and just shut it down doesn't make any sense. Leading to a Democrat that you're going to see later in the segment calling it a constitutional crisis. But here we go. Trump aligning with what's taking place at the headquarters, saying, no, I don't think Congress needs to give me the power, and making an absurd justification. After you watch this segment, if you want a comprehensive breakdown of why it would be so catastrophic globally, the millions of people impacted, literally people getting food or disease treatment, and then how it is in our interest to continue those investments, how fostering those relationships globally creates an environment that we benefit from, not to mention minimizing the human suffering, but yes, also minimizing our national security risks and benefiting our national interest at large. You can watch, after you watch this one, the segment, if you're a YouTube viewer, that we just uploaded about Elon Musk. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Here we go.
With USAID, or do you believe you have?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, not when it comes to fraud. If there's fraud, these people are lunatics. And if it comes to fraud, you wouldn't have an active Congress, and I'm not sure that you would anyway. But we just want to do the right thing. It's something that should have been done a long time ago. It went crazy during the Biden administration. They went totally crazy what they were doing, and the money they were giving to people that shouldn't be getting it, and to agencies and others that shouldn't be getting it. It was a shit.
So just a word salad of random things he thinks sound bad.
So they're tremendous fraud, but we'll be doing a report. We'll be giving you that report at the appropriate time.
Yeah. On the first term,
the only specific thing we've received in terms of why it would be justified to shut down a program that so many people rely on for their life. We looked at the quotes already of this will kill people. The reason they've cited, the only specific anecdote, is condoms to Gaza, and then it was disproven that didn't even happen, the $50 million figure that they cited. And even if it had, why would you punish for a budgetary problem literally needy children? You could just solve the one problem budgetarily. That didn't exist. At least that one example, by the way. Representative Andy Kim here saying he's been informed that staff are being specifically instructed to be prevented from coming in.
Telling them not to show up. I talked to this. I talked to the security guard. I talked to the security guard just in there. He said he has been given specific orders to prevent employees of USAID from entering the building today. And I just find that to be absolutely ridiculous. You know, this is no way to govern. This is no way to treat public servants. And this is no way for us to conduct our foreign policy as a country. So I just had to show up.
Now, I want to say again, it's not that reviewing where the funds are going or making adjustments to staffing or even making big systemic changes to how any of the organization within the government, USAID being one of them, is wrong. Every administration makes changes in how they operate the government, obviously. It's that, number one, if Elon Musk is correct, and that does seem to align with what Trump's saying and what actions are being taken in blocking these staff members, a complete shutdown of our international development investments would be, I say it again, catastrophic. Again, after you're done watching this, if you're curious and you haven't watched yet, you can go watch the full segment, which was the last one that we uploaded on why. But number two, this is not how you govern, as he said, which is just randomly making decisions, some that are not even in your constitutional authority, and not making clear what the plan is. You're just locking people out now. You have organizations abroad who weren't notified, and now they're just thinking, "Oh, we're losing our funding." That is not how you govern. If they did intend on a complete shutdown, you would need to give a bunch of notice for all of these organizations to figure out where they're going to get funding instead and how they're going to keep medication treatments available to people, food available to people, water available to people, etc. But instead, it's just, I don't know, we're just making a bunch of random decisions as Elon Musk is getting inspiration from his algorithm on X. More.
Why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs, and we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain groups and certain numbers. Some of the numbers are horrible, what he's found.
Some of the numbers are so number that they go 1, 2, 3, number. He's finding them all. He's finding numbers no one's ever heard of. 3018.
Think of it, $100 million on condoms to Hamas.
I think you could have spent more on that. That would have prevented you some trouble.
Condoms to Hamas. And many other things that
I'm kidding. I don't even know what that means. It just seemed to fit. And also, there wasn't $100 million to Gaza.
are frankly even more ridiculous. And they're finding tremendous waste, really waste more than anything else, I think you could say. Probably fraud and abuse can be added to it, the more standard waste, fraud, and abuse. But
so he did it again. There's so much waste. If I told you the numbers would blow your mind. But specifically, condoms. No, that's the one claim you've made that's been debunked. Then you have Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, who's one of the few Democrats out there actually making the case. Please, can we have some opposition? And he's calling this a constitutional crisis. Let's listen.
So we will use every power that we have in our disposal in the United States Senate. My colleagues will do the same thing in the House. This is a constitutional crisis that we are in today. Let's call it what it is. The people get to decide how we defend the United States of America. The people get to decide how their taxpayer money is spent. Elon Musk does not get to decide. We are weaker today than we were yesterday. China sees that, Russia sees that, and they will take advantage. Our job and your job together is to raise our voices, raise the alarm, so that this crisis, this emboldening of our enemies, doesn't last a second longer than it has to.
There's also an instability and an undermining of our global relationships, not to mention, aside from what we're talking about here, the open hostility towards our allies like we're seeing with Trump's tariff approach. That is begging them to go align and bring their economic and military value in alignment with our adversaries. We talked a lot about that already, but we cannot be understated to his point that there are some people that are really happy about this. It's not the hungry kids. It's not you or I, but it just may be Putin. It just may be the very brilliant and intelligent and strong and powerful, as Trump has described him, Xi Jinping. Here's more from Chris Murphy.
But let's not pull any punches about why this is happening. Elon Musk makes billions of dollars based off of his business with China. And China is cheering at this action today. There is no question that the billionaire class trying to take over our government right now is doing it based on self-interest. Their belief that if they can make us weaker in the world, if they can elevate their business partners all around the world, that they will gain the benefit. But there's another reason this is happening. They're shuttering agencies and sending employees home in order to create the illusion that they're saving money in order to do what? Pass a giant tax cut for billionaires and corporations, right? This is all a smokescreen, a shell game, in order to turn this government over to a handful of unelected billionaires and corporate interests, and we are not going to let them do that.
So, of course, he is a politician. To some of you who may not be as on board with every word he said, he is obviously going to speak in very stark terms, but there is something very real there that he's pointing to. I just quickly Googled how much is spent on USAID annually. In 2023, it was $40 billion. So this is all in the name of cost cutting, right? Induce massive human suffering because cost cutting. But to Chris Murphy's point, which is so true, and it needs to be brought up, this is why it might seem like an oversimplification of a broader American political dialogue, but I do think it needs to be spoken as. The Republicans always have their bumper stickers. This needs to be ours. Oligarchy versus us. And what's manifested right now as the visual embodiment of that is Trump's orange face. He's the oligarchy, and that's why he's bringing in Elon Musk to walk in to an organization that is one of the most responsible for helping those who need it the most, I should say. Meaning they're starting with the cost cutting where it would have the most per dollar devastating impact for each dollar you take away because of what $1 means in the lives of all these different individuals we're talking about. And all of that is happening not just as an individual act, which would be bad enough, but in the name of cost cutting. Wait. If you want to reduce, surely the cost cutting is because you want to reduce the deficit. Great. I also want to have a fiscally responsible approach. Yes. But you're also advocating, Trump's also advocating for extensions of and enhancements of his 2017 tax bill, which, as we reviewed, didn't just benefit the top the most, nearly exclusively, but undermined in the broader implications for the tax code over the long term, the working class. So you're going to balloon to the tune of 1.9, let's say $2 trillion, our deficit. Meanwhile, $2 trillion, you're going and looking for $40 billion that could wreck the lives of people if you take it away. What kind of priorities is that? How about we start with, don't shove any more wealth in the direction of your friends, because that could save us a lot of money if we could keep that revenue coming in. Maybe even increase it. Crazy thought. Jamie Raskin.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that under Article 1 of the Constitution. And just like the president, who is elected to something, cannot impound the money of the people, we don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. And that's going to become real clear.
Yes, absolutely correct. But as I'm sure you're feeling, anxiety inducing. We're the ones that need to stop. The mechanisms, at least that Jamie Raskin has, all we can do really right now is make noise, okay? We can make noise. And we can reach out to our representatives. But this is the moment, through whatever power Congress could leverage, but the Republicans aren't going to let them. So I don't know what it is that they can do. Legal challenges. Any of the lawyers out there who have a basis to bring a lawsuit. That's probably our best shot. That's what stopped the funding impoundment of all federal funds, was that restraining order from a judge the second judge jumped on to substantiate. Then on Trump's Canada tariffs, in the wake of the pause on the Mexico tariff, I'll talk about that in just a second, he says that I do have terms for Canada.
That he could agree to change your mind on the tariff?
Well, we can always, but look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our, Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything.
All right, and then he just goes down the list there. While you can target specific industries when you feel they're struggling, or we would benefit for whatever reason from more manufacturing, and there's a labor force alignment that could actually fill those spots, then targeted tariffs do make sense. That's why they've been implemented under Democrat and Republican presidents alike. But the across-the-board approach, as I've said, absolutely doesn't. Now, you might be thinking, it's a reasonable question to ask him, do you have terms for Canada? Because seemingly your terms for Mexico resolved, at least for a month, the dispute there, which is a big breaking news over the last few hours, which is that Trump has paused his 25% tariffs on all Mexican imports after calling with President Sheinbaum. And what MAGA did, just like they did with the Colombia thing, which was Colombia saying you have to send the migrants some type of way, and then the U.S. government started sending them that type of way, and then they went, we got you because of the tariff threat. Not really. Similarly, you have a celebration of Trump for the economic instability that he's causing because Mexico committed to send 10,000 National Guard troops to the border. There's only like a bazillion problems with that logic, as we'll talk about.
He's the lumber here. Do you think on some level he's saying, I want to build up the middle class again by making the cars, doing the lumber here?
What happens when Canada puts on retaliatory tariffs against things made in states that Trump cares about? And by the way,
let's see if they do that by the end of the
they
year.
will, but by the way,
Let's see if that happens.
Mexico sent 10,000 troops to the border in 2021 when Joe Biden was president. So it doesn't take the stock market tanking and threats of a tariff war to get Mexico to respond. So if you're willing,
you don't think the border was secured during Joe Biden?
So the thing that the other Fox host said, that's one of the liberal pundits, but the one that you heard off camera, Brian Kilmeade, going, well, you don't think the border was secure, blah, 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 proves the point that we're seeing, which is that Trump, I think, my speculation is that he saw the immediate economic response. One of the things mentioned there was the stock market, and thought, is the tariff war with both of our big trading partners at once? Can I really go through with that? And then he actually started engaging into some diplomacy with President Sheinbaum, and Sheinbaum said, hey, I could send 10,000 troops to the southern border or to her northern border. I know that you might have liked that, and I want you to invest more and coordinate more with us on preventing certain weaponry from coming down south from the United States, because we're really good at doing that. And they struck an agreement, and Trump lifted the tariff, at least for the time being, as further negotiations go on. Now, that, and I honestly see why, from some, this sort of Trump creates a problem and solves it and pats himself on the back thing has been touted as a big success for Trump. But what was brought up there by Marie Harf is that, wait, back in 2021, Biden, with no threats of tariffs, got the exact same thing from Mexico, which was 10,000 National Guard troops to their northern border. So are you saying that that Biden's diplomacy is so powerful? Is this what you're saying, MAGA? That he can do things that Trump needs to threaten economic war to get? That doesn't seem like a strong argument in your favor. And secondarily, this really can't be the win on securing the border that you say that it is. If you agree, even when Mexico did that last time, and they've done it numerous times, 2019, they also sent National Guard troops. That also didn't prevent the massive spike in fentanyl overdoses, which is what Trump says this is in the interest of. And it also didn't prevent 2019 from being the largest border crossing year since dating back all the way before the Obama administration. But if Biden got the same thing from the Mexican government without any threats and just normal, reasonable diplomacy, and you would never say that secured the border, then clearly this can't be the win on securing the border that you say that it is by your argument. So that's the point there that Harf is making, and it's a correct one. And Trump could have just, as Scheinbaum's been saying this whole time, she also wants to engage on a lot of these things. She's been, especially throughout the end of the Biden administration, I should say, Mexico has been doing a lot of diplomacy, a lot of coordination with the United States relating to our southern border, their northern border. And it's part of why we've seen such a big plummet as Biden was on his way out, or the last year in office, getting all the way down to where things were whenever he took office. So you can just engage in diplomacy without causing economic instability, without alienating our allies, and creating a problem and a dispute that then you solve and take credit for when it's securing a commitment that was secured without such threats is not the win that MAGA thinks that it is. Meanwhile, he says and I've long said that I do think that Mexico has a lot more things that they probably are willing to quote unquote concede on, because there's more tangible things like, hey, do more stuff relating to the border. Okay, there's stuff there at least. Whereas Trump's only thing he can come up with when asked about Canada is make them the 51st state. That's not happening. It's not happening. One other person at this USAID office protest.
As the proud daughter of Iranian immigrants who fled their country during the revolution, I grew up learning about how we can never take democracy for granted, and never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that in the United States of America in the year 2025, we would be witnessing an unelected billionaire, Elon Musk, and oligarchs and so many unelected individuals taking complete control of our federal government, taking illegal, unconstitutional actions, and truly every single day witnessing the demise of our democracy. It is unacceptable. That is why you have House Democrats here today, members of the Senate, standing with the American people on behalf of our democracy, and we will not back down. We cannot back down. USAID does vital work across the entire world, from supporting climate resiliency projects and being there in the wake of natural disasters, to working to stop terrorism, to stopping outbreaks before they become a pandemic. This work is vital. This work is life-saving, and we will not stand for any.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Exactly. Another point, I went through so many in this segment, the one before it, but one point I forgot to mention was when I mentioned diseases. How does MAGA not understand? How does Trump not understand after he was president when this whole pandemic thing happened, causing him to lose that election because he mishandled it so bad? How do they not realize, sure, we have borders and you can, not perfectly, but organize movement of people with borders. But those borders don't really mean much when it comes to a disease, right? With how globalized we are in travel, diseases, they're going to spread if you just let them. So, who cares? Africa's so far away. The country of Africa is so far away. Maybe you should care. Not just because you care about people regardless of how far away they are, but also because diseases will spread. And if you stop these outbreaks before they become a pandemic across the world, then you save lives everywhere, including, yes, America! Share your thoughts in the comments.